Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi will meet with Donald Trump in what she expects to be a very difficult conversation, just days after the president's calls for allies to help secure the war-torn Strait of Hormuz went largely unanswered. Hours before her departure, Takaichi told the Diet that she would do everything possible to best protect Japan's national interests. The three-day visit to Washington provided an opportunity to discuss trade relations and strengthen the U.S.-Japan alliance ahead of Trump's diplomatic trip to China, now postponed due to the war. But now the war is likely to overshadow the meeting, which appears to be a test of Takaichi's friendship with Trump. The trip was planned back in October, a week after Takaichi took office, when Tokyo gave Trump a ceremonial reception and the two leaders exchanged compliments, heralding a new golden age in bilateral relations. Just a few weeks ago, it seemed the upcoming meeting would be a success, as Takaichi won a landslide election victory and secured a new round of investment projects in the U.S. Takaichi intended to build on the warm feelings generated by her first meeting with Trump and raise issues with him regarding Japan's concerns about Chinese aggression, ahead of Trump's then-scheduled meeting with Xi Jinping. Recent events have complicated the situation. Earlier this week, Trump posted on his platform, Truth Social, a call for certain countries to help secure the vital strait. He cited Japan's and other Asian economies' dependence on fuel from the Middle East as a reason for their participation. "We get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait of Hormuz, and some countries get much more. We want them to come and help us," he wrote. But after receiving a lukewarm response, he withdrew his request, declaring in a later post that the U.S. doesn't need anyone help. Takaichi acknowledged that visiting the White House at this time presents certain difficulties. "I want to have meaningful discussions based on Japan's perspective and our way of thinking. The top priority is de-escalating the situation as quickly as possible." What might Trump ask for? However, no one knows what Trump will demand or whether Takaichi will have the courage to refuse outright, said Koichi Nakano, a political scientist at Tokyo's Sophia University. Analysts add that it would be difficult for Takaichi to respond with a categorical refusal if Trump raises the issue of strait assistance during their meeting, given that nearly 95% of Japan's oil transits through the strait. Another problem with Trump's potential demand for military intervention from Tokyo is that Japan is constrained by its pacifist post-World War II constitution, which prohibits the country from using force to resolve conflicts, except in cases of self-defense. Direct military aid would also be extremely unpopular among the Japanese people. According to a recent poll by the Asahi Shimbun newspaper, 82% of voters disapprove of the war. What else could the leaders discuss? As Sheila Smith of the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations notes, Takaichi will inevitably raise the topic of China, which remains Japan's biggest strategic challenge. Relations between Beijing and Tokyo have deteriorated sharply since November, when Takaichi appeared to hint that Japan would activate its self-defense forces in the event of an attack on Taiwan. China considers self-ruled Taiwan its territory, and has not ruled out the use of force to reunify it in the future. Takaichi has neither apologized nor retracted her statements. According to Japanese media reports last week, Takaichi and Trump are also expected to discuss Japan's participation in the U.S.-led Golden Dome missile defense system. This project, inspired by the Iron Dome system Israel has used to intercept rockets since 2011, has an initial budget of $25 billion, £18.7 billion. However, according to Sophia University's Nakano, how the meeting plays out will depend entirely on Trump's mood at the time of their meeting. "The whole world will be assessing Trump's mood," he says, although it may only last a few hours, so it's unlikely to change anything. The president, he adds, is known for his pragmatic approach to alliance relations in general. And of course, there's the issue of trade. With Japan's domestic economy struggling due to rising inflation, a weak yen, and sluggish consumer spending, securing a stable economic partnership with the U.S. is especially crucial. Therefore, Takaichi will likely position himself as a leader with whom Trump can get along and do business. Maria Solis of the Brookings Institution, who specializes in Japanese foreign economic policy, notes that Tokyo sought to be the first among Washington's trading partners to fulfill the obligations assumed in exchange for tariff reductions. In February, Trump announced the first batch of projects under Japan's $550 billion investment plan, which allowed the country to receive some tax breaks. The U.S. reduced tariffs on Japanese automobile imports from 27.5% to 15%. Takaichi is expected to announce additional projects worth approximately $100 billion during his meeting with Trump. However, this visit took place just days after Washington launched an investigation into unfair trade practices against Japan and other countries, which could lead to the imposition of new tariffs. Japan will want to ensure that it does not receive less favorable terms from the meeting than previously agreed upon.